Australian scientific thriller. Very scarce, digest size, crime vintage paperbacks from down under. Hi, I'm Gary Levisi, and this time we're going to take a look at a really cool, unique series of books that are pretty scarce and very, very collectible because of the cover art and because a lot of them were written by a fellow named Alan Yates, who many of you will know as Carter Brown. But he wrote under a lot of pseudonyms, so a lot of them were pseudonymously, easy for me to say, not easy for me to say, written by Yates or by Carter Brown. So the scientific thrillers were published by Transport Publishing Company in Australia from 1948 to 1952. They're slim digests of 34 to 50 pages. And there's 43 in the series. Now, I have a stack of them here I'm going to show you. I don't have them all. I'm missing 7, so it's 43 less to 7 that I do not have. But I've got a lot of them, and I'm going to show you a lot of the covers of the 43 books, less 7. So, without further ado, they're all kind of, you see, very slim digest size. This was a company, they also published Thrills Incorporated, which is another series I'm going to show you. They had outstanding covers. Paul Valdez was Carter Brown, or Alan Yates. And they're kind of very delicate, you know, from 1948 to 1952. So this one is The Murder I Don't Remember by Paul Valdez. They were not numbered, and I'm not going to show them in any particular order. The Mastermind Menace by Belly Luigi. I think that's probably Carter Brown also. Just great, outstanding cover art, really cool, weird. They call them scientific thrillers. Some of the early ones were 6. I guess that's Australian pence. Later ones were 8 Australian pence. They had the scientific thriller logo. And they kind of have a science fiction look to some of them, or a horror look to them, but they're really just regular kind of crime stories. And but they have that science fiction look. They have that fantastic look to them, which really makes, in the cover art, makes them really popular. So, without further ado, I'm going to go do the rest. There's No Future in Murder by Paul Valdez. Again, Carter Brown. Flight into Horror by Paul Valdez. Alan Yates, Carter Brown was a writing machine in the 40s and 50s in Australia, and then published in the United States, Signet Books and other publishers. The Corpse Set Up by Paul Valdez. Ghosts Don't Kill, A Supernatural Murder by Paul Valdez. Cover art is just really, really outstanding, and these are beautiful condition copies. Kill Him Gently, Paul Valdez. One of my favorite, King Rat by Stanford Hankel. Great rat silhouettes. Whistle of Doom by Boris Ludwig. The Curse of Blood by Wolf Hersholt. This is a rare one. This is one of the toughest ones to get. It's very scarce. All of these are pretty scarce. They're scarce in really nice condition, and this is probably one of the toughest ones. And there's obviously these 7 that I don't have are also very scarce. This one has been repaired. Depths of Death. I have it noted that it has been repaired, because if I do upgrade it and I do sell this, I will sell it as a repaired copy, but chances of finding one of these is pretty tough, especially in some of these. There's certain ones that are more common. A lot of the ones you'll see that I have in really, really nice condition are some of the more common ones, because there are a few, some that are common, but a lot of them are just like really impossible and they never show up. You Can't Keep Murder Out, Paul Valdez again. Maniac Murder, Paul Valdez. X-Ray Menace by Wolf Herschelt. Kind of a cool, using a camera to see through a brick wall. And it's just like a regular camera. Magnetic Peril by Wolf Herschelt. Kind of a little bit of a, I don't know, Titanic with the iceberg behind them on the ship.
Some of them look like movie posters, like they were that kind of feeling.
Yeah, I don't know who the artist is on these, but they do.
They're great.
Yeah, they're great, and they do copy or influenced by movie posters. The Freezing Peril Strikes by Belly Luigi. It's probably Carter Brown. Murder Gives Notice by Paul Valdez. Kind of a pedestrian cover, considering the quality of a lot of the other ones. Killer by Night by Paul Valdez. Interesting thing about this book, there's a couple of books in the series that for some reason are always the color is very like washed out, and it's not a fading from the sun or water damage or anything like that. It's just that there's a certain number of books, 3 or 4 in the series, that have these kind of covers. Maybe the printer ran out of ink, I don't know, but that's the way they seem to all show up every copy. I've never seen a copy of Killer by Night or some of the others that really have the rich, deep color as the other ones. Next one is Satan's Sabbath by Paul Valdez. Another real nice one is Feline Frame Up, also by Paul Valdez. The girl kind of looks like Jane Russell, or you can see that she's definitely from a movie poster or something. There's a couple of the books that are a little taller than the others. Jaws of Doom is one. It's just, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch taller in size. And that's by Boris Ludwig. It's one of the early ones. Celluloid Suicide by Paul Valdez. Toppling Terror by Belly Luigi. I guess that's in London. One of my favorite. The Mummy Walks by Paul Valdez. Really, really cool cover. Another nice one. Cosmic Calamity by Belly Luigi. Just beautiful. The Time Thief by Paul Valdez. And you can see Cosmic Calamity, The Time Thief, The Mummy Walks. While these are short crime novels, and there's no supernatural or science fiction really element in these, they do have that fantastic element feel to them, and so they really appeal to science fiction collectors and crime collectors and pulp collectors and just about everybody. And this is one of my favorite of all, just because of the title, by Kurt Hoffman, Black Market Brains. Image of Death by Otto Kench. It's terrifying supernatural murder. At least it says supernatural murder, but it's probably not. Next is The Killer Who Wasn't There, Paul Valdez again. And The Glowing Globe by Belly Luigi. famous Italian writer. Next one is Sleep is Death by Otto Kensch. And Hypnotic Death by Paul Valdez.
That looks like Bela Lugosi.
Does look like Bela Lugosi. And I think the
Does it
cover
look like
is...
Bela Luigi?
And the cover is signed. Cover is signed, but I can't tell who. I can't read it. Lost Underworld by Bela Luigi. Time Has a Door by Otto Kensch, which is a kind of a Tarzanish cover. Really cool cover, this one. Lightning Crime by Bela Luigi. The guy, it's like a skull. And the last one, which is really one of the best, Curse of the Mummy by Bela Luigi. And the cover shows Boris Karloff as the mummy. So these are definitely inspired by, the artwork is definitely inspired by movies, classic movies, horror movies, science fiction movies. And they just threw it all in a mix. This is just a really, really cool series. And if anybody that's interested in these books, you can find them once in a while on ABE or eBay. There's two places to look, sources for if you want more detailed information. The latest is Paperback Parade number 106, which has two articles, one by Sean McMillan and one by myself, about the series and the books, listing all of the books and showing all the covers, including the 7 that I don't have, and that I haven't shown you, as well as Sean McMillan's article is about Alan Yates, and he talks about the books, the stories themselves, and how they were put together, and a lot of background information. Really great article that he wrote, and my article also fills in a lot of information. So that's Paperback Parade 106, still available. And the other thing is that in 1994 I published the Australian Vintage Paperback Price Guide. Graham Flanagan, who was a good friend, he's passed away, but he was the man on Australian pulp vintage paperbacks. And the Australian, scientific thrillers are listed in here, along with 200 pages of other vintage era Australian paperbacks. And there's also supposed to be a color section, if I could find it. I can't find it. But Dust Jacket, comes in a Dust Jacket. There's a hardcover and a paperback. Paperback Parade is available now for $15, and it's in stock. This is you have to look around for this. This came out in 1994, and it's pretty scarce now because I didn't make that many copies, and there was a few hardcovers and mostly trade paperbacks and Dust Jacket. But today's pretty scarce, and there's never been a reprinting on it. But it has incredible reference information on all the Australian paperbacks, and there's a lot of information. There's a color section, covers. Well, that's just a book. If you want detailed information on Australian vintage paperbacks, or on these books in particular, then these are two good sources to go to. So just to clue you in, I hope you enjoyed this look at the Australian scientific thriller series. They're crime books, but they're a whole lot more. I mean, the pulp covers are just terrific, and hope you enjoyed it. And I want to thank you for looking. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.